Why I want my son to grow up in China? First of all, because of the culture and people. It's hard to understand the culture and feel the people when you are from afar. It is very hard. It's not the same thing, understanding it from afar, not being immersed in it or interacting with the people. It's very different. Okay, I can give you an example. Like here, okay, whenever I take my baby out, it's very common for people to give him snacks, food, whatever they have. You cannot do that, let's say, in the States. You cannot just take food from strangers anymore. Here, there is still this village vibe. Yeah, even though we live in Shanghai, it's a very modern city. But whenever we go out in the compound, he's gonna greet everybody, and people are very friendly. And then you just go out to a park or whatever. Then you meet a stranger, and they're having some snacks with them. Chinese people always have food with them, Like you go to a park, you see like a picnic, People bring so many different kinds of food, and then they'll just share with him. And it's impossible for you, and it's rude to turn it down. They will feel hurt. And also, genuinely, there is nothing harmful within the food that they offer. So it's because I grew up on a farm in a village. This is what we do. It's everybody knows everybody. Okay, when I was younger, when I was small, a kid, we barely locked our gates at night. All right, so it's very common for you to go to somebody's house, and then you eat something there. And sometimes we even have dinner somewhere else. It's just a very, very tight community. So right now, even though we live in a city, you don't knock on the door and go to somebody's house, even if it's your neighbor, like before anymore. But when you have a kid out, people just instantly feel that they can, have a conversation with you, even though sometimes they might ask some questions that you feel like, oh, that's kind of a step over the boundary. They might ask, very private questions sometimes. Like, his dad must be rich, something like that. I take it as a joke. I'm a comedian. It's hard for me to. It's not like it's hard for me to get offended. I know what I allow me to be offended about. Okay, certain things I'm like, even though it's not very, appropriate sometimes, but I don't instantly, turn to I'm offended mode. You know what I'm saying? So, the culture, the people, the language. It is very hard to learn Chinese from afar when you don't have an environment. So you have to stay here. Even if for Chinese, every Chinese person has like a callus, something, here. Because we spend so much time practicing writing Mandarin, which characters, it's very hard. So he needs to be here to master the language. Also, my hometown dialect. He is also exposed to a lot of Shanghainese as well, as we live in Shanghai. So for safety, for the culture, for the language, he needs to be here. Also, I think American kids grow up too fast. Okay, I watched the video the other day. It's about A$AP Rocky. He said he had orgy when he was 11 years old, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like, oh my God. And when they turn 10, 11, 12, it's the pressure for them to get a girlfriend, to be popular. I don't like that. It's not like I don't like that. I don't think it's good for kids. Let them be kids. It's a very short time span for kids to be kids, especially with all the information, all the social media. They grow up too fast. Yeah. Here, you see a 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm not saying that they don't have that kind of idea, but the environment is still about their education. They still focus on learning. They still talk about education, and then the parents provide the environment for their kids to learn, to study as their primary drive, Yeah. And also, I think young parents are more open-minded. Like when I was, let's say, 16 years old, finish middle school, starting high school, and if you have, let's say, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, even though you are not doing anything, it's frowned upon. It's even a taboo. In some areas, as a girl, you might get let's say, you might get slut shamed. Yeah, it is what it is. So, and these days, I think young parents acknowledge that that's a stage of their, teenage time. They're curious about, what's like to have, let's say, a boyfriend or girlfriend, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to go far along to start a relationship, get pregnant, become a teenage parent. It's just not the culture. Also, I was looking from afar, like it seems like graduating high school is a big deal in the States. Here, if you don't go to a good college, you're considered as a failure. I think that's too hard. Okay, I think that's too hard. I think given the context, teenagers have their struggle in different parts of the world. I'm not saying the kids in the States are not trying hard, but I think collectively the environment doesn't sound very conducive for their education. Here, they're also, something what I wish teenagers do more, which is, for example, part-time. Here, kids don't part-time. It's even when they're in college, a lot of college students don't part-time. They still focus on their academic studies because they want to pursue their master's. Okay, it's hard for them to get a job right after graduating college, so they still focus a lot on their educational pursuit, which is good. But I definitely think they need to be a little bit street smart. Academically, they're very brilliant, very smart, but I think there are some practical skills that they definitely need to work on. So I would love to have like a bit of a both, you can't just study all the time, definitely. Actually, Kobe, my baby, has already started working as a baby model. He loves it. He enjoys the camera, enjoys interacting with people, and it's just playing with toys. He's used to the light, the spotlight, the noise, at a shoot, because I brought him to comedy clubs very early in his life. So what I'm saying is that there is a lot of things that he can learn and from, and then just be a very, very, how to say, be a very focused kid here. I think there's just too many distractions, let's say, in the States, and here I think safety is probably at the end of the day the biggest concern for every parent. I just don't understand why there are so many pedophiles out there. I'm not saying there are no pedophiles here, but it's visible. It's visible in the States. Okay, from the Epstein files and the news. Like, I just can't imagine like a person driving a van, preying on young babies. Here, it's just that's never. I rarely heard things like that. It's hard to commit a crime. Yeah. Long story short, it's hard to commit a crime. A lot of let's say criminals have lost their jobs, like stealing. It's just very hard to commit. You have to be super, super smart to be a criminal here. Let's say a scammer. It's very difficult. So, yeah, in terms of all of this, I think it's great for him to grow up here. Also, my family's here. I want him to be connected to my roots because I'm very proud of where I'm from, which is a farm. a village, and there's just so many things that he can do here. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good place to raise kids. Yeah. All right. So let me know what you think about raising kids. Yeah. What are your concerns and what you want for your babies and what you hope or you wish they didn't have to get to do too much, at a young age. So anyways, leave a comment and I'll see you next time.